therapeutic usage. This chart from here you can see that alpha type of radiation, then what is it, the mass, charge, and the protection from effect. So alpha particle is helium ion nucleus, mass is 4, charge is +2, and protection from effect the sheet of paper. Okay, so this is the lowest level of particles which can not cross the sheet paper. The beta radiations are, they are basically the electrons. The mass is 1/1800, charge is negative, and sheet of metal can resist it. But in the end, the gamma rays are high energy short wavelength. So basically these are both little bit higher wavelength particles, and this one is the short wavelength. The mass is 0, charge is 0, only does not cross the thick lead or concrete, but it can cross the thin lead sheets also. So you should remember the nature of or characteristic of the different radioactive particles or substances. The origin and nature of radiation. See how these are actually produced when there is a unstable nucleus which break down into new nucleus and then further divide into alpha particles. And alpha particles atom decay into new atoms and emits an alpha particles, 2 proton and 2 neutron, the nucleus of helium atom. So this is the origin how these alpha particles are actually produced in nature. Then the beta particle also originate from the unstable nucleus, then new nucleus, and the beta particles generated. The atom decay into new atom by changing a neutron into proton and electron. The fast moving high energy electron is called a beta particle. So basically this is the electron which is the moving fastly and can penetrate to some extent. Concern. The gamma also originate from the unstable nucleus, new nucleus, then the gamma radiation. These both things come from this new nucleus. After alpha and beta decay, after these decay, actually the gamma ray radiation are generated. Surplus energy is sometimes emitted. This is called the gamma radiation and has a very high frequency with short wavelength. The atom is not changed. So here the atom not changed, all the energy can be dispersed or transferred from one place to another. So there, because there is no atom or other particles, so there is no mass in it. So this is a characteristic of gamma radiation. Gamma radiation is, we are talking because we used it in nuclear medicine for our medical purposes. See how these the rays are actually penetrated in the body. Alpha only limit to the upper surfaces. The beta can limit to the muscular cross the skin, and the gamma, you see that it can cross all these levels to the organs, bone, organs, both are penetrated by these gamma rays. So how you can understand clearly that gamma rays are how much they are their penetrating power. This is a picture of electromagnetic spectrum. See, many things are we used around us in our nature, our environment. Different has got the different radiation, because I know I told you that the radiations come from everywhere. There we divide the radiation into non-ionizing and the ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation are mostly harmful when they are used in a powerful way, or when the energy is used unwanted. Okay, so here you can see that the type of radiation, the sources, the higher the wavelength, the lowest the radiation levels, like power lines, radio signals, TV signals, microwaves, the radiant heat, and come to the this levels, arc welding, medical X-rays, and radioactive sources. These are the radiation with the lower wavelength. So their penetration power is very high. So you should remember this spectrum of radiation from which you can easily pick the different levels or different types of radiation around us. This is also a spectrum. You can see that different sources of radiation from different, even everything around us, living or non-living things can emit the radiations, but the level of radiation is different. The radio, microwave, infrared, these are wavelength. See, there's higher wavelengths. Ultraviolet, then X-ray and gamma rays has got the short wavelengths. And the level of things which can be penetrate, like these radiation comes from the buildings, humans, honeybee, pinpoint, protozoans, molecules, and over here atoms, and inside the atom are the atomic nuclei. And you can see the temperature of body emitting the wavelength. So this is also another way to understand the spectrum of radiation or electromagnetic waves. Okay, when these alpha particles, beta particles, or gamma particles, or different types of particles, radioactive particles, have some life. So we should remember that how much particle is live up to their half-life. So what is half-life? The half-life describes the time it takes for a particular radionuclide to decay to one half of its original activity. So one particle, when it's lose its energy up to 50%, we call it half-life. The half-life of most radionuclides used in nuclear medicine range from several hours to several days. So when you are talking about the nuclear medicine, we should know that different particles have used in nuclear medicine, so we know their half-lives. So there are some important nuclides used in the nuclear medicine and their half-life, like this lithium 8, this is the nuclide notation, and its half-life is 0.838 seconds. And krypton, is half-life is 3.16 minutes. Sodium, this is a normal sodium, but is a we see the sodium chloride salt is also sodium, but which is that is a compound. This is a pure individual sodium, which is active radioactive substance. So its half-life is around 15 hours. Then the most popular nuclear used in the nuclear medicine, iodine 131. This was the first radioactive substance used for the diagnostic purpose, and then we use also for the therapeutic purpose in thyroid diseases, especially the hyperthyroidism. Its half-life is 8 days. Cobalt half-life is 5.27 years. See, these are the worst radioactive substance particles whose life in the like radium 228, its life is 1600 years, and the uranium 703 million years. So they are not used for this purposes in medical sciences. We mostly use those particles or those radioactive substance which have minimum half-life. This part your reference that you can compare the things with the other harmful radioactive substances. The terrestrial radiations. I told you that the radiations come from everywhere, from the rocks, from the uh, rocks, soil, water, air, space. But they arises from the radioactive element in the rocks and soil consist of the isotopes which very long half-lives. Like potassium 40, its half-life is 1.25 multiplied by 109 years. The uranium 4.5 multiplied by 109 years. And thorium 232 1.39 into 1010 years. The radioactive substance in earth crust, the building material, cosmic rays and environmental results in the absorption of the radiation. See, these are the radiation which already exist in our nature, in our soil, for billion of years. So these are called the terrestrial radiation. The terrestrial radiation or the radioactive material is also found throughout the nature in soil, water and vegetation. Important radioactive elements include the uranium and thorium and their radioactive decay products which have been present since the earth was formed billion of years ago. Some radioactive material is ingested with the food and water. They are called the radon gas or radioactive decay product of uranium is inhaled. So when this uranium is decayed, they release this radon gas which can be inhaled by living tissues or living things. The amount of terrestrial radiation varies in different parts of the world due to different concentration of uranium and thorium in soil. So this is terrestrial radiation. It means that the radioactive substances are present already in the nature from billion of years in our soils and other things. Then we want to see the man-made sources of radiation, because nature has its own radiation potential, but the man-made radiation like medical and dental X-rays, the nuclear reactor operations, research and industries where they use different type of radiation substances, mining and milling of nuclear materials, and the nuclear weapons testing. So this is comes from the man-made sources of radiation. First, the nature it's have own radiation things. Then the man has added its own purposes for harmful purposes as well for the medical or good economic purposes. The biological effect of radiation. Before we start the therapeutic usage of radiation, we should know that what are the biological effect of radiation. The radiation from the radioactive material or electromagnetic waves from source has the ability to split atoms and the molecules into charged fragments or ions. So this is the nature of the radiative substance which can break down the molecules and atoms at the cellular levels. When the radiation split a chemical bond like H2O into hydrogen and OH ions, it is known as a direct damage. See how this actually damage the DNA. Indirect damage, charge ions combining with the biologically important molecules like DNA. So they combine with the DNA molecules and damage them from different ways. They breakage the cross linkage and manipulate the sequence of the different bases. So this is a harmful effect of radiation. On humans, the certain body parts are more specifically affected by the exposure to different types of radiation sources. The several factors are involved in that determining the potential health effect of the exposure to radiation. These include the size of the dose. So radiation effect depend on many things: the size and the ability of the radiation, and which organ is affected. Thus, so these are the things which can be contributed for damaging different tissues in human or other biological bodies. Health effects like the harmful effect of the radiation include the DNA damage, gene mutation, chromosome aberration like translocation, incapable to divide, rapidly dividing cells manifest injury sooner, erythema in skin, blood forming tissues, decreased WBC, platelets, leukemias, the cancer, which may be the cause of these radiation, GIT, ulceration of mucosa, the reproductive organ including the temporary or permanent sterility, the lens of eye can produce cataract due to these radioactive damage. Now we see that how we can use these harmful radiation for our beneficial purposes. For that, the International Commission in Radiation Protection, ICRP, most countries of the world have adopted the recommendation of ICRP for the protection from harmful effect of ionizing radiation. The ICRP recommendations aims to protect the determinant non-stochastic effect and to limit probability of occurrence of stochastic effect to acceptable level. So minimum amount of radiation needed are applicable for medical purposes or other economic purposes. So what things we can protect ourselves from these radiation? The time, the limiting exposure time. So when we talking about the nuclear medicine and its application, we use the minimum time to expose these radiation for the healthcare provider as well as for the patient. The decay, the limited application in prevention. So we use limited radioactive particle which has got a very minimum half-life. The distance intensity varies inversely with the squares of the distance from the source. The doubling the distance drops it to 1/4. So when you increase the distance, the chance of catching these radiation is only 25%. The shielding, practically no shielding required for the alpha radiation because they are not crossing the normal even paper sheets. The 5 mm thick aluminum can be absorbed alpha and beta particles. The 10 mm sheets of lead is required for the gamma. So I already show you that the width of the sheet of lead is required for the to check these gamma rays and X-rays and neutrons. But you told you that the neutron can cross the lead sheets, so we use for the neutron. We also adding the concrete sheets. In medical sciences or nuclear sciences, nuclear medicine, we use some radioactive tracers. I told you already, this is imaging from inside out. So we are not only put the radiation from outside, but we administered the radioactive substance inside the body by intravenous or by inhalation or by orally. to produce alpha, gamma, or beta emission from within the organ being studied. The emission are the transferred into image that provide information about the function of the organ or the system being studied. So when you administer these radioactive tracers inside the body, then you catch the image from outside, and that cameras are called the gamma scanners or gamma cameras. So radioactive tracers are selected that localize in a specific organ for the tissues. So we use the different types of tracers which accumulate or concentrate in different parts, like we iodine 131 tracer used for the thyroid diseases. So mostly their concentration are shown in the thyroid glands and few in other parts. But the 90 above 90% this iodine is concentrated in the thyroid. So this is a selective localized specific organ or tissue for that therapeutical or for the diagnostic purpose. The amount of radioactive tracer material is selected carefully to provide the lowest amount of radiation exposure. Again, the amount is should be as low as possible. Thyroid was one of the first organs to be examined by the nuclear medicine studies in the 1940s and 50s. The endocrine emphasis initially using iodine 131 to diagnose and then treat the thyroid disease. This iodine 131 is used for the hyperthyroidism diseases and also for the diagnostic purpose. So there is a picture here. The doctor is take the image of thyroid. The exposure with effective dose, the mean effective dose are different for different procedures. Like nuclear medicine diagnostic procedure mostly done within 4.6 milliASP. For X-rays, they're 0.008 for different. You can see that CT scan, it's 1.5, CT chest 5.4, CT abdomen 3.9. So different exposure are used for the effective dosage. This is a gamma camera. This is when you inject the tracers inside the body, then you catch the image through these cameras. The gamma camera is an electronic device used in the medical diagnosis for the imaging the distribution of radioactive compound in the tissue after patient by injection. Okay. In general, it is a device used for imaging the nuclear medicine for imaging the gamma rays emitting from the radioactive compounds in the body. How it works? The parts of these gamma cameras have different parts. The most important part is called the collimator. In short, is like a filter. This is a collimator. Is like a filter that it passes only rays that are almost parallel. So different things are emitting from that organ where they inject that radioactive tracer, and that image are filtered by this collimation, and this catch by the photo multipliers, and they give that image. But if the use of the device without collimator will be filming the desired part from all sides by the next scan on every side, and therefore will not produce a clear accurate picture. So this is a very important part of a gamma camera. This is only for your understanding purpose how these the gamma cameras are actually worked. Then the most nowadays we use the positron emission tomography. also known as a PET scan. Is a medical imaging technology that enables physician to view how organ system of the body are functioning at a cellular level. See, always remember the difference between the CT scan and the MRI and these PET scans. The CT scan and MRI are give the magnetic waves from outside, but here we catch the signal from inside. So there is a main difference. The PET is a unsurpassed definitive diagnostic tool because it can help the physician detect the disease. In MRI and CT scan, you can use for the anatomical purposes, but here you can see the functional of the tissues, function or physiology of the tissues. Determine the appropriate treatment for the disease and efficiently trace the body's response to the treatment. It was developed in the mid-1970s and it was the first scanning method to give functional information about the brain. These are the few images of the PET scan. Here you can see the in the abdomen the different metabolic activities in stomach, spleen, normal activity in the liver, and you can see there is a low activity in the hematoma. So this is how you can see the things at cellular level and their functions, because there are no any circulation, so it gives a cold spot, and here you can see that there is a hot spots, but you can see there's high activity metastatic cancer. See, there's a more bright things over here, which can show there is high activities over there, because cancer cells are very active. They consuming everything from surroundings, but they are very active and their metabolism are highly active, so their image is different from the normal tissues. As you can see that this is only simple, the CT scan shows the anatomy, but the PET scan show the functions where you can localize things, different cellular activities, and here we can detect the cancers very clearly. Another type of nuclear medicine device is the SPECT, a single photon emission computerized tomography. A single photon emission computerized tomography scan lets your doctor analyze the function of some of your internal organs. A little bit more higher advanced from the PET scan. A SPECT scan is type of nuclear imaging test, which means it uses the radioactive substance and a special camera to create 3D pictures. See, in PET scan, you just only one-sided picture, but in here you can do the 3D pictures. So this is gives you more if idea about the disease. See, this is a SPECT of the brain, cerebral perfusion, and 3D pictures. This is a SPECT of a bone, where you see the high activity in different areas, maybe due to the inflammatory changes. Was usually not possible by the normal MRIs and scans or X-rays, because they show you the activity is actually over here. So what type of the people required in these nuclear medicine areas? The one is the nuclear radiologist, nuclear medicine radiologist, also known as the nuclear radiologist or physician. who use the radioactive material to diagnose and treat the disease. Other persons are the nuclear pharmacist, once known as the radiopharmacist, specialized in the preparing, dispensing, and distributing the radiopharmaceuticals or radioactive precursors or drugs. Few things should be discussed over here about the protection, because the protection is very important for the person who working over there in these areas. The things which should be needed: position shielding between yourself and the source of radiation at all possible times. Take advantage of permanent shielding, and the shielding is mostly done by the combination of these lead sheets as well as the concrete sheets. Select appropriate shielding material during the planning stages of the experiment or procedure. Plexiglass, plywood, and the lead are effective in the shielding of radiation exposure. Use the proper shielding for the type of radioactive material present. This is important. LRA, as low as reasonably achievable. This was the protocol made for this nuclear medicine things. They needed the film pages, ring pages. They should be spilled. The chemical must be cleaned up immediately where these type of tests are used. So this is basically a protocol. How you minimize the harmful effect from these radiations. These are the different gadgets which are helpful to see that how much these are the radiation monitoring pages, which give you information how much radiation are basically the person absorbed who is working over there. So they are you mostly use in different nuclear departments. Other things like this Geiger counter or Geiger counters, which can trace the radioactive substance comes from the different tissues or body of the patient, so you can detect it. Dose calibrator, how much dose is absorbed by that person which is who's working over there. So these are different gadgets for protection purposes for the see the level of penetration of these. So basically this nuclear medicine is the radiology done inside out. Okay, I give you few examples like whole body bone scan, myocardial perfusion scan, and pulmonary ventilation perfusion scan used in the nuclear medicine. The whole body bone scan uh, is generally used in evaluation of the various bone related pathology, such as for bone pain, stress fractures, non-malignant bone lesions, bone infections, or the spread of cancer to the bones. So this is the whole body bone scan can give you a whole idea about the whole skeletal things inside the body, and you can identify clearly where the problem is exist. The most popular one in the heart or myocardial perfusion is the thallium scan. I think most of you are familiar with the thallium scan, which used in the resting image for the this myocardial perfusion, but for the stress you can use the system belly. stage image. So these are the different types of nuclear medicine, bone scans, and also we can use the MRI and CT scan uh, with these PET scan or SPECT. So they are basically the things which are basically combination, a hybrid combination of both things, like PET scan, CT scans or SPECT CT scan or SPECT MRI. So nowadays we use both anatomical and physiological things in one time. So this is more helpful to see the anatomical as well as the physiological function of the tissues. So these are the few references from you can get the information of this topic. And this is the end of the session. So if you have any question, please ask.